So, I finally got to play Dune. It was in closed beta for a while, and I wasn't allowed to say anything, and it killed me, because when I had started the beta, I was kind of skeptical. I thought, man, I'd seen a bit of gameplay, I didn't know how good the combat would be, it looked a little janky, but holy crap, when I got in here and I started playing, it was insanely fun. There is so much potential for this game to be such a good game. Now, I didn't get to play the whole game, obviously. I actually only got to test the game for one day, and during the beta, we only got to play basically the beginning portion of the game, and we were walled out from the rest. So that, of course, means that we don't know what endgame is really going to look like until we can play it ourselves. So that's why I use the phrase, so much potential. That being said, I got to try the beginning, and holy crap, I felt addicted to it. It was so much fun, and it basically came down to the fact that I love the combat in this game. It's a survival crafter slash MMO. How they're gonna make that work, we'll see, but holy man, it is not the janky combat that I thought it would be. It is crazy amounts of fun, and I think it's really just because the mobility in Dune is fucking insane. Those previous gameplay videos where the devs were playing Dune and we got to take a look at it do not do this game justice. Like, goddamn, I mean this in the nicest way possible. They were not good at the game, and they did not put together good setups, nor did they play them effectively. And holy crap, if you put together a proper build, this game is insanely fun. So me, of course, I love playing melee combat, and the big thing that kind of entranced me with Dune was being able to play a melee build. Was I going to be able to just use my sword, or would going the melee route put me at a huge disadvantage? Well, it didn't. Melee was a ton of fun, and I think it all comes down to building your character properly. Your opponents are gonna have guns, so you need to have lots of mobility in order to get on top of them quickly. And when you're close, the gun is nowhere near as strong as the sword, so damn, just look at the gameplay. I mean, I'm whipping around the screen and stuff. I cannot wait to properly level up a character, to upgrade these abilities so the cooldown on them is even shorter. I mean, I didn't even really get to see what Buildcraft could look like at the end of the game because we didn't get to experience it. And I know they've got more stuff up their sleeve. There's no way that the first 20 levels is going to be the creme de la creme of combat in this game. And as for the game feeling janky, it really didn't. Actually, it felt really good to play, and it wasn't just the fighting that felt good. I felt like the transition between using your abilities and canceling out of them with dodges and stuff, it was just easy to get nice flow going once you got used to the controls. And the performance was good. I didn't have any real issues performance-wise. Keep in mind, I was playing on a beta server, and there was pretty much nobody else playing on that server. I ran into one other person the whole time I was playing. So that could help, but man, if they can keep this kind of performance when the game launches, people will like it. I think people will really like it. Now, it wasn't all perfect though, you know? I felt like the early game NPCs were very basic. They had one-trick pony kind of setups, and that was about it. And the AI on the NPCs wasn't amazing either. Now, I do know that once we get further into the game from watching the gameplay videos, the NPCs are going to start to have a lot more abilities and stuff that they use that kind of mimic what the player does, as well as having smarter AI, and they'll go heal themselves and stuff. So again, I can't really say that the NPCs were terrible because I didn't get to experience the full extent of what they could be. That being said, it was still a lot of fun to whip around and kill them. Now, I know I've been going really hard on how fun combat was. For me, at least, that is the most important aspect of any game. How fun is the combat? And Dune definitely pulled me in with that. There's a lot more to the game than just fighting. It is a survival crafter, so you're out there looking for supplies, you're crafting yourself new stuff, you're building a base, and the building was not terrible. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's no Valheim, but it was better than I expected it to be, at least. Still fairly basic. Maybe as we get further along in the game, they'll add more to the whole building system in Dune, but the big criticism I had of it was that you have to connect each piece to an existing piece in order to build stuff, so you don't have a ton of variety in how you can actually build different shaped buildings. Maybe if I learn some new building techniques or some tricks to get around that, it'll be a little bit better, but as for the beginning of the game, it was, you know, 4 out of 10 for building. And as for the survival aspect of it, early game, you are dying from not having enough water basically the whole time, and you very quickly learn and figure out that you need to be killing people, taking their blood, and turning that shit into water as soon as you can. Once I finally got a good setup for myself, I was very hydrated the whole time, and there's a lot of bonuses to keeping your character hydrated in Dune as well. Things like directly increasing the size of your stamina bar so you have more ability to perform actions in a fight. And then, of course, there was the hot sun that you couldn't stand out in, otherwise it would very quickly dehydrate you and drain all your water. And those beautiful sandworms. It was a kind of interesting gameplay mechanic to travel from one safe spot to the next and just pray that you don't get eaten by a massive worm. Now, there's a mechanic behind it, so you know how close the worm is to you. I managed to never get eaten by a worm. I'm thinking that maybe I should have, just to see what it looked like. But I know that if you got eaten by a worm and you die, you lose all your stuff. So it was something that I did really want to avoid if I could. The environment was awesome. I loved how you could traverse the environment using all the different tools you had. Even if you had no abilities that help you traverse the environment, you could literally crawl up anywhere, you can climb anything. So there's no limitation to where you can go in the game outside of, I guess, the map borders itself. And the NPCs, you know, coming back to this, they were pretty basic, but they were still deadly. If you let them hit you a couple times, you could die very quickly. And armor upgrades and weapon upgrades have a huge impact on how effective you're going to be against these NPCs. So I guess what I'm saying is the survival aspect of the game felt like it was there. It felt like the planet wants to kill you, and most of the things on the planet want you dead as well. Now, I also dabbled a little bit in gun gameplay. It's gun gameplay. For me, that wasn't the big highlight of combat. The guns worked great, don't get me wrong, and you get rewarded big time for stuff like headshots, and I'm sure that there's going to be people talking about the gun gameplay and what you can and can't do with it. I feel like there is a lot of opportunity for really cool builds around the gun gameplay as well, but I just focused on that melee fighting. So, yeah. This is one game that I am definitely gonna play when it comes out, and I'm really excited for it. Honestly, I can't wait to try PvP. That's really the only part of the game that I didn't get to dip my toes into, and it's one of the parts of the game that I really want to try. I feel like these melee builds that whip around, ain't nobody hitting you when you're moving this fast with their guns. And once I have a fully fleshed out build, oh, I cannot wait to start swinging my sword at people. So, if you guys have been following Dune at all and you're interested in trying it, I gotta give it my recommendation, which is kind of weird because I didn't think it would be this much fun. I was ready to be disappointed, I'll be honest. So, yeah, well done, Funcom. It's a great start to your game. I'm sure there's gonna be problems along the way, but at least the gameplay itself was really fun. And I'm really curious how other people are gonna interpret this game, because everybody had their own kind of experience on the beta, but we weren't allowed to talk about it. So you're getting my completely unfiltered opinion about the game, and I wonder how other people felt playing the same game that I was playing. So please, if everybody else hated the game, don't roast me too hard for having such a fun time with the early game. Over the next few days, I'm going to be putting out as much Dune content as I can from the gameplay that I got, including the build that I'm running, and breaking down, at least in my opinion, what the best starting class in the game is going to be. It's obviously Swordmaster. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Look forward to more, and I'll see you next time.